Greetings, gods and goddesses in training. Flomish Garmin, Flomish Day. It is Uncle Makara. All relations. Let's get started today. We're going to be speaking, because Big Ruckus requested it, on emotional tone manipulation, okay? But before we get into that, I have to speak a little bit about psychological resonance. This is where people can walk into a room and they're instantly felt in their energy. Why a sentence from one person cuts right through your defenses, while the same words from another bounce off of you like static. One of the things that I've learned on this process is to trust my body, right? So I've stopped believing in this idea of cold approaching and cold reading others. Instead, warm read others and warm approach people. What do I mean by this? Cold approaching is just going up to somebody who are showing you no signs of interest, to just go up and talk to them, right? And say something. But I would say that if people are already intrigued in you, it's way better to approach those people if you notice some indicators of interest, okay? You can look that up in your own time. What are the 7 indicators of interest, okay? So let me just think back to how I would have approached it back in the day. I would do my character work really well. I would know what my archetype is, okay? As I explored interacting with the world, okay? Who am I? What's my character in this video game called life? Okay, and really knowing myself, I think that would set the stage to other great things happening. You see, most people communicate from the surface. It's like they're throwing pebbles into the water. But the ones who truly move you, who flirt like poets, who sell like prophets, and who inspire like gods, these people aren't touching the surface of the mind. They're vibrating the core frequency of your nervous system. That's resonance. It's when someone's words, tone, and presence harmonize your subconscious patterns. It's when another human's frequency finds a matching pattern inside of your emotional body. Like striking a tuning fork next to each other and watching them hum and then sync. The mind might process language, but the nervous system processes truth. Resonance happens when you're transmitting beyond logic and it lands directly in the body. So you don't understand it, you feel it. That's why when someone has charisma just means divine favor, or sometimes it's referred to as grace. So that means charisma is an energetic echo of psychological resonance. The same with the feminine allure. And I'll give you examples because I know you asked for examples. There's 3 levels of resonance usually. Cognitive resonance, in terms of they got me. This is where your ideas align. You're speaking the same language. You're sharing the same metaphors. You're finishing each other's sentences. So this is like an intellectual rapport, right? But this is just the surface. You see, a lot of people just stop here. So then they start to build compatibility, not connection. The second is emotional resonance. They feel me. Here's where it starts to vibrate. You match their emotional waveform. You modulate your tone, your breath, and your pace until you're literally syncing your nervous systems together. You mirror the emotional undercurrent, not their words, but their state. For example, if someone says, "I'm fine," in a very tight voice, you don't respond to the words, you respond to the tightness. You widen your breath, and then you give a signal of safety, and boom, it changes. They start to soften. So this is emotional resonance. And lastly, my favorite one of all is archetypal resonance, which means they awaken something within me. I mean, this is just deep magic. This is where you don't just match the emotion. You activate something ancient in them. You become a mirror for their buried archetype. The lover, the father, the muse, the warrior, the healer. When you speak from that embodied energy, you're not just talking to their personality. You're awakening their myth. Their lore is coming alive. That's what great flirting, great teaching, and great leadership all have in common. They pull hidden selves out of hiding. So let's start to deconstruct this like scientists of seduction and psychology. Resonance is created through 3 things: contrast, pacing, and authenticity. Contrast is when the nervous system wakes up through polarity. If you're monotone, emotionally, vocally, energetically, you're invisible. But when you play with tension, and release. Like music, like teasing, like a good story, then the body starts listening. Pacing means you start where they are. Pace their emotional state. If they're excited, you match the tempo. Once you've paced them, you can lead them somewhere new. Authenticity is the understanding that your deepest resonance comes when your expression is congruent. Your tone, your words, your body language, and emotional intent are all lining up. You see, the nervous system detects lies instantly. This is why faking confidence cannot work. But if you embody a grounded calm, it does work. When these all align, you become coherent. You are literally now measurable in heart rate synchrony and brainwave mirroring. So studies show when two people resonate deeply, their heartbeats and breathing synchronizes. This is why there's an amazing tantric practice where you have your partner laying on top of you, perhaps from the top or the side. Got this from Wade. You breathe, touching with your hearts touching together, right? You're breathing with your belly rising and falling as the other person joins you, and your breath synchronizing. There's a magical healing that may start to take place for you. So we're using biophysics, right? This is not metaphor. So what flirting is, if you understand it, is resonance in real time. While when a man grounds his energy while staying playful, his presence gives the woman's nervous system space to relax and then to rise. When a woman mixes softness with unpredictability, so like warmth with a flash of danger, she stirs both the comfort and the desire in the same heartbeat. So that's resonance. Through polarity, safety plus excitement. So the best flirts don't manipulate emotion, they tune it. They feel where the other person's energy is, and they nudge it a little higher, a little deeper, a little more freer. Okay, so that means they're emotionally bilingual because they're fluent in both the chaos and the calm. Why do most modern people fail at resonance? Because they're trying to impress the other person rather than attune to them. They think communication is about output. It's not. It's about harmony. You can't resonate with someone if you're too busy performing for their approval. Resonance requires presence. Presence means your awareness is more on them and the energy between you rather than how you're coming across. So the best communicators that you know, they aren't thinking about this question that you've been thinking about, which is, what do I say next? They don't think that. So you have to change that belief system entirely. The thing is, the best communicators are listening with their entire bodies, full body awareness. They're feeling micro shifts in tone, in eyes, in breath. And when they speak, it's not premeditated, it's responsive, right? It's like jazz, it's not like sheet music. And you know that true resonance heals. You've felt this before. The moment somebody speaks to you and then you feel safe enough to cry in front of them. The person who looks you in the eye and it feels like your entire armor comes off. That conversation that remains in your mind like something ancient. That's psychological resonance. You see, that bypasses trauma loops. It says to your nervous system, I'm okay to exist again. It says to your nervous system, it's okay to exist again. And that's why it feels holy, because it is. So this is not a trick or a pickup tactic. It's the forgotten art of vibrating truthfully in a noisy world. It's what makes a lover unforgettable. It's what makes a leader magnetic. It's what makes a teacher sacred. It's when the frequencies of two nervous systems harmonize so perfectly that they remember that they were never separate. You can fake confidence, you can fake smiles, but you cannot fake resonance. It's the sound your soul makes when it recognizes another is awake. And in that vibration, all manipulation dies, all defenses fail, and what's left is presence. The kind that doesn't need to be loud to be felt, because it's the tone of the universe remembering itself inside of you. So the best flirts in the world, men and women alike, are masters of emotional tonality. They play emotion like music. They don't rely on their looks and lines, use tone shifts, pacing, micro pauses, contrasts, and energy modulation to create this amazing emotional roller coaster that the other person's nervous system just cannot forget. So words are only 7% of communication. Tone, rhythm, breath, and micro expression do the heavy lifting. So good flirtation is not about how you say things. It's how you make them feel something through how you say things. And usually they oscillate between three types. Playful teasing, which is a dopamine trigger. Grounded sincerity, which is an oxytocin or love and trust hormone trigger. And slow tension, which is erotic, but at the same time, it's safety. So it's a dual trigger. And they alternate them like a DJ mixing tracks. And that's really what keeps the flow alive, right? So on the masculine side, you have charisma. On the feminine side, you have allure or magnetism. And we are electromagnetic beings, so therefore you start to understand clearly now what this art form really is, right? It's always been about energy work. So the best male flirts are rhythmic, oscillate between command and curiosity, intensity and ease. They have this polar quality to them. You can use sudden depth as a man to create gravity, saying that I see you without a neediness or a clinging. You know, you have this thing about you. Like you're always half hiding something interesting. Imagine if you heard that, right? Now imagine if you'd heard that, right? It sparks depth, it sparks some kind of curiosity, so you want to keep the conversation going. So imagine if he was talking super fast, and then suddenly goes into something slow like this. So the change in the tonality and the pacing, right, creates this like almost a trance bridge, right? Next is the playful challenge. Imagine if you just kind of tease them mid-conversation. Wait, are you actually flirting with me now, or is this how you naturally talk? Right? It's a playful accusation when it's delivered with warmth. And it's a teasing tone, so it challenges her to kind of earn your attention. The smile and whisper combo. If you keep looking at me like that, I'm not going to be able to focus on anything that you're saying. It's kind of a vulnerability, not desperation, right? This plays on polarity, control, and surrender at the same time. And then, of course, there's that calm pause, right? You've got good energy. Rare. Don't rush that. Right? Let's say that they're in anxiety, they're speeding. You calm it down. Minimal words, maximal resonance. I'm not trying to fill this space because I am the space. You see what I'm saying? Women flirt best through contrast. Warmth and mystery, same as the man, right? The polarity aspect. Softness and sharpness. A playful tone layered with pauses that invite pursuit. The first is the light tease. You think you're smooth, don't you? It's playful melodic and has an inflection. It goes upwards, right? You think you're so smooth, don't you? Right? It goes up. It lilts upwards, so she's seeking rapport. Okay? She's seeking a connection through just the tonality lilting upwards. So it creates challenge without confrontation. You can also, as a woman, create emotional safety while amplifying the tension. You have this calm energy to you. You make me want to slow down. Or even just random guesses. That heartbeat delay is everything. It lets the man's imagination run wild. Like, let's say, you're a little dangerous, aren't you? That pause made that what it was. You guys sense this? You shouldn't make me laugh like that. I might start liking you. Okay, the whisper laugh. It's a soft tone, almost like a suppressed giggle, and it instantly floods oxytocin. So, people who know how to do this, they do this quite naturally. They don't need to watch a video like this. But it's kind of cool to know the mechanics of this so that you can work and play with it, right? In your own character, in yourself, as you start getting better and better at communication. So what are the universal traits of these tonal masters? Number one is tempo shifts, pauses, miles in voice, a type of breath control, mirroring energy, using contrast, like I said. Faster when playful, slower when intimate. They use silence as a foreplay for attraction. They speak from the diaphragm, not just the throat. They subtly match another's tone before leading them into a new one. So here's an example of both of them in flow together. He goes, "You're trouble." She goes, "Only for men who can't handle it." He leans closer. "Good thing I like a challenge, though." She drops a tone lower. "Good thing I like being one." Do you guys feel that tension, right? That's emotional tonality in motion. Rhythm, contrast, play, presence. This is like some kind of musical alchemy, right? And some people just got it. But modulate your energy like a musician modulates their notes. Why some conversations can sound electric, and while some are just boring mid-sentence. It's what makes storytelling, healing, flirting, leading, and teaching magnetic. Use playful teasing tone, grounded command tone, whisper intimate tone, mystery pause tone, excited expansive tone, and the vulnerable raw tone. I like using all of these top 7, so you can play around with these and create quite a nice tonality, expressiveness, echo chamber for you every time before you socialize. You kind of work on your vocal tonality and tonality flex, right? Tonality flexing is just an exercise you can practice. Set a timer for a minute or 2, and you just start lilting your voice up and down, and you start singing through, and then you go really, really fast, and then you go slower, right? And you start playing around and modulating your own speech as you're going along. You can do different accents, different pitches, different tones, and you just tonality flex, okay? It's very, very powerful for if you're just starting out, because you're gonna now have a range to play with, and you're never gonna be mundane, boring. You're always gonna kind of have that entertainer quality in the back of your mind, right? Which is very, very key and important as you're self-amusing, which then, resonates or attunes to another person near you. So the final thing I wanna say is this is not about performance, it's about precision. You're sculpting energy in real time. You're tuning someone's nervous system so deeply that their words become secondary. You see, you can say hi in 10 different ways. You just work with hi, my name is, right? And you can use so many different tones. One that will open their heart. One tone that will ignite attraction. One tone that will build trust. One tone that will challenge ego. So tone, think of tone as emotional coloring underneath your words. It's your sub-communication, the subtext. And the people that learn to paint with it don't just communicate, they start leading symphonies. So let's use some lines and you guys can guess which one is which. Oh, really? What's your excuse? If you keep talking like that, I'm actually start liking you. I don't know if you're adorable or dangerous, probably both. You can relax, I'm here. Hey, take a breath, you're okay. Look at me for a second. You're overthinking this. I'm not in a rush, let's just do this right. Right, this could be used by leaders, mentors as well, right? It's not necessarily flirting dynamics I'm showing you the tonality. So listen to my tonality. You know I like it when you talk like that. Don't move, just stay right there for a second. You don't realize how magnetic you are right now. You have no idea what you just did. There's something about you that I just haven't figured out yet. Hold that thought. Don't lose it. Imagine if we actually did this together. Do you realize what that means? That's it. That's the energy I'm talking about. Yes, that's exactly what I meant. That's the move. I don't usually talk like this. I act like I've got it all together, but I really don't. When you said that, something in me just softened. You think you're hard to read? No, I already got you figured out. You're pretending to be chill, so I don't know how curious you are. It's cute though. That's tone layering that I just did, right? Like 10 different types of tone, all creating different kinds of neurochemicals, dopamine, oxytocin, tension release, okay? So the human brain actually craves vibration. Predictability dulls your attention quite a lot. So when you shift tone, you're literally speaking neurotransmitters, yo. Dopamine when playful, oxytocin when soft, serotonin when safe, adrenaline when mysterious. This is why emotionally flat people fade fast, right? Because they're not creating an addiction. You don't trigger enough chemicals to keep the chemistry alive. So emotional tone mastery is not exactly manipulation. I think it's a leadership of energy. It's guiding someone's nervous system, so that's a big responsibility actually. When to rise, when to whisper, knowing when to tease, knowing when to roar, right? It's all in that. It's an art form. What, you think you can actually outsmart me? Imagine us disappearing for a week. No phones, no noise, just ocean and sky. But I'll behave. For now. And I believe you also asked for some introductions. I meant make another video on that, but generally it's just start out by just saying hi, what's your name, right? Don't try to overcomplicate it in the beginning. You can start out by some of the techniques out there. I know Mystery has an entire book on introductions or saying hi. It's called like Hey Guys or whatever. Those are some canned ones that you can try. But generally, I would match it towards your archetype, you know? So if you're kind of a entrepreneur, busy guy, you can walk in and be like, sorry, I'm late, right? And she's like, who are you? Do I know you, right? She'll immediately get that curiosity. You can play off of that into what you say next. So let whatever you say first segue into the frame and the kind of storyline that you're building together, okay? So, yeah, that's number one. Number two is just be a good observer, right? Be a good listener. So when you're in a situational place, like you're waiting in a cafeteria or something, in a long line, or, you know, there's a context, right? So you want to make sure that the context gives you the content in that moment, right? So you have to kind of observe things about your environment, how's the food here, whatever. It's like, you gotta get the ball rolling somehow, right? So in that moment, you want to think of like, what would the character say, right? Let's say that all these people are kind of grumpy on a table, and you come over and try to spike that. Now, this could go either horribly right or incredibly wrong, right? Maybe there's some gray areas out there, I don't know. But generally, you're taking a shot, man. But you're going to also miss the shot if you don't take the shot, right? So this is what you have to understand is, what if you went over there, right? And you were just like, you guys look like you're having way too much fun, right? How do you think they would take that? Because I've used that before, right? As a line, you could call it. But it wasn't really a line. It just felt right to say in that moment. Because this person was struggling with a coffee machine or whatever, I remember. You want to kind of normalize and neutralize your riz. You get what I mean? Like, don't put it so high up on a pedestal. Like, I have to get ready. I have to get into state before I go out, and then I'll be okay. No, actually, you're okay all the time. And that includes while you're socializing, okay? You just gotta accept yourself more deeper and really just resonate from the core, the truth of your beingness, right? Get that fun up, get that ease, work on your own inner emotional mastery, right? How you can play with different tones, and you can sound angry for a second, but it's like you're pretending you're angry just to get a spike, and then you kind of calm it down, right? Knowing it's kind of like an art form, right? Like you're painting a painting in real time. So you got to treat this like an artist, okay? Stop rushing to the end of the painting and enjoy the journey, okay? Enjoy the experience, the gnosis that's right in front of you. Let's get it today, Upward Spiral Gang. May the flow be with you. May you never be the same again. To infinity and beyond. Let's get it. Let's win. Let's Upward Spiral Gang.